It was July 10th, 1984, at the D&G Tavern, where a bulky, middle-aged man had just finished having drinks. He left the bar, got in his pickup truck with his wife, and started the engine, only to be shot at through his rear windshield. His loud, buzzing wife was forced out of the vehicle and sent to a bank, which was just across the street from the tavern. This all happened as his assailants shot at him for an extra 20 seconds while in broad daylight. There were well over 46 witnesses, all watching from windows at the bank, the bar, and a gas station on the same street. It was a murder with a street full of potential witnesses in a little farming village called Skidmore, Missouri, yet no one claimed to have seen anything. The victim was 47-year-old Ken Eric McElroy and his wife, Trena McElroy. Why was Ken executed in this manner? Why was he shot several times in broad daylight with a street full of potential witnesses without anyone willing to testify? Please click on the red icon to subscribe and turn on the notification button so you don't miss our mind-boggling crime updates. To anyone passing through Skidmore, Ken McElroy looked like a strong, good old farmer. But to the locals, he was the biggest bully and the worst criminal the town had ever seen. From stealing to rape, McElroy was accused of a long list of crimes and got indicted 21 times, but he always found a way to wiggle out of every one. Born to Tom and Mabel McElroy, a poor migrant couple, in 1934, Ken was the 15th born in a large family with 16 children. Growing up with very little, McElroy did not attach any importance to formal education. Instead, he dropped out of school at age 15 without learning to read or write and took up manual labor full-time, working on farms around Skidmore, the town he would live in for the rest of his life. McElroy soon grew tired of working as a laborer. He always dreamed of living a life of leisure, and the money he earned from manual labor would never cut it. So he started out as a petty thief, then moved on to stealing livestock. He would drive his truck to people's farms in and out of Skidmore, and steal hogs, cattle, and other animals sold at auctions or to third parties, who knew better than to ask questions. Breeding and trafficking hunting dogs were also one of his many talents, and he also made a lot of money from them. The town of Skidmore never had any form of law enforcement at the time, so McElroy did whatever he wanted. Ken McElroy always had a firearm on him and was not afraid to shove it in people's faces when he lost his temper. He never liked getting called out for any of his felonies, and when he was confronted, he was always ready with a firearm to issue death threats and worse to anyone. He was caught trespassing by a farmer named Romaine Henry, but McElroy shot Henry in the stomach on his own property. Henry survived and eventually pressed charges, but a jury found McElroy not guilty. He got his buddies and a couple of raccoon hunters to testify that he was at home when Henry was shot. McElroy was also a womanizer. He had 10 children with various women, but liked underage girls the most. He met his third wife, Trena McElroy, when she was only 12 years old and in 8th grade. He raped her repeatedly. Her parents, who were naturally opposed to his relationship with their daughter, began receiving death threats daily. Finally, McElroy killed McLeod's family dog, burnt their house, and forced Trena's parents to accept their relationship. By age 14, Trena McElroy became pregnant and moved into McElroy's house, who was married to his second wife, Alice Woods, at the time. With McElroy afraid of being charged with statutory rape, which Alice was a witness to, he divorced Alice and married Trena. When Trena gave birth, she and Alice fled McElroy's house and went to stay with Trena's mom and stepdad. But McElroy, with a firearm in hand, brought them back to his house before burning McLeod's house again and killing another family dog. Flush with cash from his illegal activities, he hired a highly skilled defense attorney named Richard McFadden to represent him in court. McFadden used every legal trick in the book to postpone his court hearings. McFadden used this strategy because the longer it took to get his day in court, the colder the cases against McElroy would become. This gave McElroy enough time to harass and threaten his accusers. His victims would spot his pickup truck outside their house for hours and hear shots fired from a shotgun in the dead of night. The death threats would continue for months until they retracted their statements. With this strategy and the witnesses, McElroy was always able to produce enough to get him out of 20 indictments. In 1980, Trena McElroy and one of McElroy's daughters, Tanya, got into an argument with Evelyn Summers, a clerk at the local grocery store. Tanya had allegedly taken some candy that she had no plans of paying for. McElroy didn't take long to start haunting Ernest Bo Bowenkamp and his wife Lois, who owned the grocery store. Armed with a shotgun, McElroy cornered Bo, at the back of his store and threatened his life. McElroy shot Bowenkamp in the neck with his itchy trigger finger during the confrontation. Bowenkamp was lucky to survive the encounter, and McElroy was arrested and charged with attempted murder. McElroy was tried and convicted for second-degree assault and sentenced to 2 years in prison. The farming community of Skidmore thought their town was finally free from this menace. But McElroy had deep pockets and a really good defense attorney. McFadden worked his magic, and McElroy was out on a $40,000 bail bond pending an appeal. With McElroy out in the open again, he showed up at the local bar, armed with an M1 Garand rifle with a bayonet. McElroy openly demonstrated how he was going to kill Bowenkamp. The locals who thought they were finally free from McElroy were stunned to see him making death threats again in graphic detail. This led to some patrons coming together to find a solution to the bane of their existence. A town meeting was convened on July 10, 1980 at the American Legion Hall, which was a few yards away from the tavern. Everyone who was scared of McElroy began offering suggestions on how to prevent their town from being terrorized by the bully. Finally, one of the locals suggested they form a roving neighborhood watch to trail McElroy. In some form of solidarity, the locals marched back to the tavern where McElroy was drinking and began watching him. McElroy, who saw what was happening but didn't care, finished his drink, ordered a six-pack of beer, and headed straight for his truck where his wife Trena was waiting. She was the one who saw the shotgun aimed directly at their rear window. The bullet popped through the windshield and hit McElroy while she was safely removed from the pickup truck and sent to the bank across the street while they shot at the truck some more. Trena McElroy got picked up by the police and the FBI for questioning on 3 occasions. She named Del Clement, a tavern co-owner, as McElroy's killer, but no one else was willing to corroborate the story. The FBI swarmed the town, asking questions about the shooting. They tried every trick in the book to get some answers from anyone other than Trena, but the locals stuck to their story. We heard gunshots and remained flat on the ground. We couldn't have seen the shooter. After the FBI left, the press in large numbers tried to get the full story, but the locals remained as tight-lipped as the first time. Finally, after a whole year of trying to find even the tiniest details after the shooting, with nothing to go by except Trena's statement, the FBI closed the case. Trena filed a $5 million civil lawsuit for wrongful death against the mayor of Skidmore, the county sheriff, and Clement, but settled for $17,600 out of court based on expensive legal fees. Over 40 years have passed since McElroy was killed, and the locals have remained silent. With most of them already dead or very old, McElroy's killer will forever remain a mystery. I hope you enjoyed this video. The next true crime video popping up at the right of your screen is sure to leave you at the edge of your seat. Please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when another video drops. Thanks for watching!